Hey guys, what's up? I'm on Film, also known as Alistair. Today I am in the Newlands Forest. I've got a very sincere video that I've been meaning to make, but it's quite dear to my heart, and I think at the time I was quite disconnected and just quite dissociated from the situation that was happening. Basically about my grandmother and us going to say goodbye to her from last time, as she was suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia. Last year, March, my mom and I found ourselves booking a trip to Joburg to go and see my Ouma for the last time. My mom and auntie had the feeling that my Ouma was kind of waiting to say goodbye to her, as we were living in Cape Town and my gran was in Krugersdorp. And time was running out. The diabetes, the Alzheimer's, everything was just against her. Growing up, my Ouma was everything to me. She helped raise me, she looked after me. She was like a second mother. My parents had me at a very young age. My mom was 17, my dad was 19, and she was a vibrant, strong, independent woman, is now a frail shadow of herself, unable to feed herself, unable to recognize those who she loved most. To be honest, it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Seeing someone who used to be so vibrant, so strong, so loving, be in a state like that, especially someone that took care of you and loved you that much. But that raised the point to me. My mom and I were speaking about this, and we need to do better. We're so often parents, owners, grandparents, they get sick. What do? We send them to a home. But I think we can slow the state of Alzheimer's down and control the care of diabetes by bringing them back into our home. They helped raise us, they took us in. They were the ones that took care of us, and now we push them away. I do feel though that we could have helped slow the rate of deterioration with regards to my Ouma. If we had just taken her in and looked after her, fed her better, watched her sugar intake, her insulin, took her on walks, I would get better sleep. It could have definitely made a difference in the rate in which the Alzheimer's happened, because the rate of deterioration skyrocketed as soon as we put it into the home, and that's not fair. I think the most hectic part of it all was when I stepped into the room, scanned around the room, I looked at this woman and I was like, fuck, that's my Ouma. She was skinny, her hair was everywhere. She just looked like a bag of bones. It took me about 10 minutes to actually go up to her because I hadn't seen her for 6 to 7 years. That was the last time I saw her. And the last time she was in the early stages of Alzheimer's. Funny story, she stayed at my mom's house in Somerset West, and she would lock the room and she would come downstairs and she would come up to her and she's like, oh, hello, are you guys also staying here? Not knowing that we were family. Like, she knew, but she didn't know. And I would also just see her wandering the yard. I'd be like, Ouma, what are you doing? No, I'm looking for my husband. Have you seen him? So, like, in all fairness, it's hectic what happens, but it is also, they become childlike. It's almost like they become a kid again. The first 15 minutes that I was there, I just sat there with my mom and my Ouma, just holding her hands, just sort of looking into her eyes and hoping to get a glimmer of Tineke. Her name was Tineke. And it was weird because she looked into her eyes and it almost felt as if she was looking straight through. Yeah, it was just weird to see. It was weird to see my Ouma in that state. It's not fair. It's not nice. And then came the final moment. Visiting hours were up and it was time for us to leave. And it's not like we could stay and just hang out with her and be there with her all day. We actually had to leave because they have a certain routine that they handle the elderly with. And as my mom and I got up to leave, we both had a little moment with her, said a little something in her ear, and we sort of walked out of the visiting area and we waited at a gate that we had to open to get out. And my mom and I stood there, we both turned, looked at her, and she tried to get up. She couldn't, but she sat down. She looked at my mom and I directly in the eyes. She smiled and she gave us a wave. And that's why I believe that she was waiting for us to come say goodbye. And yeah, people might say you look for meaning in things, but if we didn't go say goodbye to her and she died a week later, that may be true. But the fact that we went there, we said our goodbyes, we had our moment with her, and literally a week later we got a call saying her kidneys are failing, her heart's failing, and I think within 24 hours she was gone. She was such an incredible lady that she even wrote in her will that if any parts of her body fail, no doctors, nobody is allowed to intervene. And that, for me, shows true character. 2 weeks later, we found ourselves back on a plane, back to our hometown of Krugersdorp for the funeral. It was a very bittersweet moment, but at the same time, a very sweet celebration of life. The amount of people that showed up at her funeral was astounding. I literally got goosebumps the moment I walked into that hall. There were people of young ages, middle ages. Some people looked like they should have died before my Ouma that were there. And it just showed a lot about her character and who she was and what she stood for. She was a teacher, she was very strict, but also the most genuine, heartfelt person I knew. She played tennis, she baked the best fucking shortbread cake, crunchies, cookies, bro, anything you name, that lady could bake it, bro. And yeah, I'm gonna miss her. She lives on forever in my heart, with me, with my family, with everyone. And yeah, I love you.